everybody. I'm so glad you came back to Reading Destination, and we are going to be doing part 2 of Tootle. Enjoy. As he came to the great curve, Tootle looked across the meadow. It was full of buttercups. It's like a big yellow carpet. How I should like to play in them and hold one under my searchlight to see if I like butter, thought Tootle. But no, I am going to be a flyer and I must practice staying on the rails no matter what. Tootle clicked and clacked around the great curve. His wheels began to say over and over again, "Do you like butter? Do you?" "I don't know," said Tootle crossly, "but I'm going to find out." He stopped much faster than any good flyer ever does, unless he is stopping for a red flag waving. He hopped off the tracks and bumped along the meadow to the yellow buttercups. "What fun!" said Tootle, and he danced around and around and held one of the buttercups under his searchlight. "I do like butter," cried Tootle. "I do." At last the sun began to go down, and it was time to hurry to the roundhouse. That evening, while the chief oiler was playing checkers with old Bill, he said, "It's queer. It's very queer, but I found grass between Tootle's front wheels today." Said Bill. "There must be grass growing on the tracks." "Not on our track," said the day watchman, who spent his days watching the tracks and his nights watching Bill and the chief oiler play checkers. Bill's face was stern. Tootle knows he must get 100 A+ in staying on the rails no matter what, if he is going to be a flyer. Next day, Tootle played all day in the meadow. He watched a green frog, and he made a daisy chain. He found a rain barrel, and he said softly, "Toot, toot," shouted the rain barrel. "Why, I sound like a flyer already," cried Tootle. That night, the first assistant oiler said he had found a daisy in Tootle's bell. The day after that, the second assistant oiler said that he had found hollyhock flowers floating in Tootle's 8 bowls of soup. And then the mayor himself said that he had seen Tootle chasing butterflies in the meadow. The mayor himself said that Tootle had looked very silly too. Early one morning, Bill had a long talk with the mayor himself. When the mayor himself left the lower train switch school for locomotives, he laughed all the way to the village. Bill's plan will surely put Tootle back on the track, he chuckled. Bill ran from one store to the next, buying 10 yards of this and 20 yards of that, and all you have of the other. The chief oiler and the first, second, and third assistant oilers were hammering and sawing instead of oiling and polishing. And Tootle? Well, Tootle was in the meadow watching the butterflies flying and wishing he could dip and soar as they did. Not a store in Lower Train Switch was open the next day, and not a person was at home. By the time the sun came up, every villager was hiding in the meadow along the tracks, and each of them had a red flag. It had taken all the red goods in Lower Train Switch and hard work by the oilers, but there was a red flag for everyone. What do you think they're going to do? Soon, Tootle came tootling happily down the tracks. When he came to the meadow, he hopped off the tracks and rolled along the grass. Just as he was thinking what a beautiful day it was, a red flag poked up from the grass and waved hard. Tootle stopped. For every locomotive knows he must stop for a red flag waving. I'll go another way, said Tootle. He turned to the left, and up came another waving red flag, this time from the middle of the Buttercups. When he went to the right, there was another red flag waving. There were red flags waving from the Buttercups, in the daisies, under the trees, near the bluebird's nest, and even one behind the rain barrel. And of course, Tootle had to stop for each one, for a locomotive must always stop for a red flag waving. Red flags, muttered Tootle. This meadow is full of red flags. How can I have any fun? Whenever I start, I have to stop. Why did I think this meadow was such a fine place? Why don't I ever see a green flag? Just as the tears were ready to slide out of his boiler, Tootle happened to look back over his coal car. On the tracks stood Bill, and in his hand was a big green flag. "Oh," said Tootle. He puffed up to Bill and stopped. "This is the place for me," said Tootle. "There is nothing but red flags for locomotives that get off their tracks." "Hooray!" shouted the people of Lower Train Switch, and jumped up from their hiding places. "Hooray for Tootle the Flyer!" Now, Tootle is a famous 2 miles a minute flyer. The young locomotives listen to his advice. Work hard, he tells them. Always remember to stop for a red flag waving. But most of all, stay on the rails no matter what. The end. That was a very hard lesson for Tootle to learn, wasn't it? Are there hard lessons for all of us? Yes, there is. Oh my. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. Be sure to come back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday by 3 p.m. Central Time. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you're notified so you don't forget when the stories are being uploaded. And share with all your friends because we really like reading stories together, don't we? Until next time, bye.